Hi everyone. I am Hima. I am working in Center for Endangered Languages, and like I just mentioned, this work is based on data from one of the endangered languages that we are working on at the center called Magar. And yeah, I guess we start. Just a minute.
Would you wait for 3 seconds? We'll just start the recording and then you start. Otherwise, we'll miss out on the beginning. Just one second.
Sure. And there's something.
Okay, we're ready now.
Yeah.
Start. Karthik, you had something to say?
No.
Raised hand.
No, just a minute, Inakshi. There's something with my computer.
Oh,
just a minute.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah, Inakshi, shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This paper has started from my working on one of the languages we are working on at the Center for Endangered Languages, Sikkim University. So first of all, I want to say that the title is slightly misleading. I am not going to talk about a historical connection between Tibeto-Burman and Dravidian. What I am aiming at is to look at certain structural similarities that we have noticed in some of the constructions, specifically in Magar and Malayalam. But also which can be generalized to a lot of Tibeto-Burman languages and Dravidian languages first. And the other thing is all the Magar data presented in here is from primary data collected by the Center for Endangered Languages, Sikkim University. So I acknowledged all our team members' contributions in eliciting as well as processing the data and all of that. So Magar, it's a Tibeto-Burman language spoken in Nepal, Sikkim, Darjeeling, and parts of Assam and Northeast India. And the data the data presented here is from 3 different villages is collected from 3 different villages in Sikkim where the Magars concentrate, but majorly from one village, Asangthang. And the variety of Magar spoken in Sikkim is Eastern Magar. There is also a Western Magar, which is spoken in Nepal. Magar is an agglutinative SOV language. Malayalam is one of the major Dravidian languages belonging to the South Dravidian branch. And it is spoken as an official language in Kerala and the Union Territories of Lakshadweep and Puducherry, but also as minor language in a lot of different places. There is also regional variation within Kerala as well as there is regional variation in Malayalam also. And it's an agglutinative SOV language. Now, adjectives in Magar. If we look at adjectives, there is a striking thing that we see, which is this morpheme ch, which always appears on adjectives. Again, when I talk of adjectives, I'm talking about the major and most productive class of adjectives. So in Magar, there are like 3 classes of adjectives. One which is called the pure or true adjectives, which are very few in number, 2-3 of them, they don't take this morpheme. There's another class which is the borrowed adjectives, so borrowed from Nepali majorly, and of course they also don't show this, but this is the productive class of adjectives, and they invariably take the suffix cha. In different varieties of Magar, the cha can also be pronounced as che, cha, the, etc. So you can see here mincha aap, ancha di, gyacha barin. So what I'm trying to say is whatever type of adjective they are, whatever quality or whatever type of adjective they are, you will see che, cha invariably. Now, if you look at the distribution of cha, you find that it is not found only on adjectives, it is also found on participles and relative clauses. So here, fallen flower and this, a person who does work. So if you look at, if you try to find out what cha is, you find that it is a relativizer. So its distribution is that it attaches to verbs, and it is used in the derivation of adjectives, participles, and relative clauses. So now, if you go back, you see that whatever the cha has attached to are verbs. So then it must follow that adjectives are also derived from verbs. Okay, this is about Magar, and yeah, in Tibeto-Burman, in the literature on Tibeto-Burman also, this is a very common cross-linguistic pattern seen across Tibeto-Burman languages, that there is a relativizer that attaches to verbs to derive adjectives, participles, etc. And so what has been proposed for as an analysis for this kind of construction is that they are reduced relative clauses. Now, if you come to Malayalam, the most productive class of adjectives in Malayalam, again, Malayalam also has many different shapes in which adjectives occur. So the most productive class of adjectives, if you look at them, you find that there is a suffix a. So you can see here, cold water, thin, I mean, all these adjectives, then you have this common relativizer morpheme a. Again, this a, if you look at the distribution of a, you find that it is not only found on adjectives, but also on participles and relative clauses. And at this point, I also want to say that even though I'm using the term adjective and participle, etc., these are technically they would be adjectivals and participles because they are derived from verbs. But right now I'm using it interchangeably. So this is a on a participle, and this is in a relative clause construction. So again, just like we saw for Magar, is a relativizer. It attaches to verbs, and it is used in the derivation of adjectives, participles, relative clauses. Now, if you look at the literature on Dravidian languages, again, you find that it is a common cross-linguistic pattern across Dravidian language family. And the analysis that has been proposed is that of a reduced relative clause. So this is just kind of summing up what we have seen till now. So what we have seen is in Magar as well as in Malayalam, you find adjectives, participles, and relative clauses sharing a similarity in morphological form, which is the relativizer morpheme. So now putting it together, this is Magar adjective, participle, and relative clause having the same morpheme. Similarly, in Malayalam, adjective, participle, and relative clause having the same relativizer morpheme. Now, so what are, looking at analyses, what people have proposed is the reduced relative analysis, which means, okay, I am trying to put it as simply as possible for people who might not have reached the, I might not have familiarized with relative clauses and the syntax of it, etc. So I'm just putting it as simple as possible. So basically, this is a very simple way of showing what relative clauses look like. So what the reduced relative analysis says is that these kind of adjectives then are something like this, where when you say a black cat, what you're trying to say is the cat that is black. So if you, so in my own earlier work, I looked at adjectives in Malayalam and in Dravidian, and I have shown that these the reduced relative clause analysis is not appropriate for adjectives and in Dravidian, because these are not relative clauses. There is no CP involved. And I have shown that they are actually participles of different sizes, and they are spelled out. So adjectives are smaller participles and etc. So of different sizes because of intermediate spell out. And I have analyzed a as the relativizer morpheme a as a linker in an operation of predicate inversion. I'll come to that, and which gets lexicalized as a. So this is the structure I have. So I'm not going into too much detail here because maybe we can discuss that later. But anyway, the relativizer. So this is the structure I proposed for this kind of the relativizer. What the relativizer is basically for this predicate inversion and the lexicalization of the relativizer. So what happens is this is based on Dendiken's theory of predicate inversion, in which when there is a predication structure, a small clause is first formed with the subject and the predicate, and then the small clause head moves up to a functional head, making it a phase and enabling the predicate from here to move out to the spec position of the functional projection. And in that process, this small clause head gets lexicalized. And this lexicalization of this linker is what A is. Now, so that was what I had proposed for Dravidian, and now what we are thinking of is, can this be applied to Tibeto-Burman relativizers? But there is more here than we have seen. So there are major differences between the relativization structures in Magar and Malayalam. So two of them I have highlighted. So the first one I want to call a form problem, which is that the relativizer in Magar attaches to the verb root, whereas in Malayalam it attaches to the perfective. So I'll show data after this. So this I call the form problem. Then there is also another issue, which is a function problem, which is, it has been noted by a lot of people that generally, Tibeto-Burman relativizers also function as nominalizers. So this is seen in Magar also. Whereas in Dravidian, normalization is a separate process. So data for the form problem. So you can see clearly that in Malayalam, the verb and then perfective, and it is to the perfective form of the verb that the relativizer attaches. So whereas in Magar, you can see that it's just the verb root and then the relativizer. This is also reflected in the kind of meaning that the whole thing can mean. So whereas in Magar, this Bacha cup can stand for the cup that breaks, the cup that will break, or the cup that has broken. But in Malayalam, you can only have the bottle that has broken. There's no other. Yeah, I mean, the perfective has that meaning there. What I call the function problem is where the relativizer in Magar is also the nominalizer. So this without another noun here, if you just say bacha, it can mean the broken thing. So, but in Malayalam, you can't have that kind of a. I mean, the relativizer is not the nominalizer, and nominalization is a separate process. And yeah, we'll come to that. So for Dravidian nominalization structure, Dravidian nominalization is built on the relativization structure, and what we see is for nominalization, you have an AGR, the agreement morpheme, attaching to this whole structure, the relativized structure, and then it becomes the nominalized. Yeah, so here I have shown the verb root come, then the perfective, and you can see the relativizer, and then the agreement marker. So the one that came, masculine, feminine, neuter, and plural. There is also one more difference, but I don't think that's major, which is that in Dravidian, for almost all the Dravidian languages, it's the same relativizer morpheme, a. In Tibeto-Burman, it differs from I mean, different languages have different relativizer morphemes, which are also nominalizers. Now, the question is there any possibility of a unified analysis? I have no answer to this right now. This is what I've been thinking of. So in trying to answer this, I looked at the typology of relative elements proposed by de Vries, in which this kind of relativization, this kind of relativizer falls in an outlier category for de Vries because there was not much data. So this is based on a cross-linguistic comparison and analysis of relative clauses and stuff. But for these languages, there's not enough data or not enough analyses proposed. So for both Dravidian relativizer, both the Dravidian relativizer as well as the Tibeto-Burman relativizer are fall in an outlier category of relative affixes, but within that category of or the type of relative affixes, de Vries categorizes these two as two different subtypes of relative affixes. So for he talks about Tamil. So for the Dravidian relativizer, the subtype is of a relative affix that can replace tense. That is, yeah. And for the Tibeto-Burman relative affix, it is a different type. It has nothing to do with tense. So right now, the only kind of analysis I can think about is maybe a distributed morphology type of approach. So the nominalization problem, I think, maybe. So in Malayalam, this kind of agreement is available, and therefore it can be used for normalization, whereas in Magar, agreement is just not there. So even though Malayalam has lost agreement on the verb, there are these certain constructions on which this kind of gender agreement shows up. But in Magar, there is no agreement at all. So maybe then this can be, I mean, maybe then this is not a problem. So if you look at a distributed morphology type of approach, maybe there is a level to which structures are merged, and so distributed morphologies as a root, and then categorical heads merge and give it the category, give the lexical item the category. So so I'm just going back because apparently some audio was lost. So what I was trying to show was that there is a you cannot analyze the Tibeto-Burman and Dravidian relativizers as the same sort of phenomenon, because there are I was trying to show two major problems with it: the form problem and the function. What I want to call the form problem and function problem. So the form problem is where the relativizer attaches to a perfective in Malayalam, whereas it attaches to a verb root in Magar. And the function problem where the Magar relativizer is the nominalizer as well. So the relativized structure, whatever you find in Magar, is also a nominalized structure. Whereas in Dravidian or in Malayalam, nominalization is a separate process. You have to add another morpheme, which turns out to be the agreement morpheme. So I was trying to think of, is there a possibility of a unified analysis? And again, I have not, I'm not proposing an answer yet. I have not reached an answer yet, but I'm thinking of a possible answer or approach would be like a distributed morphology approach. And the agreement marker thing problem can probably be elevated because of because agreement is available in Malayalam but not available in Magar. So therefore, then like following a DM approach, this whole complex, then the relativized complex, then in Magar is probably, I mean, it functions as a nominalized complex because there is a little n head, a categorical head that gives the category of nominalized meaning also. So, but I don't see a plausible solution for the form problem where the perfective is part of this whole structure in Malayalam but not in Magar. So yeah, that's what that's where I'm currently at.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely talk. We have some questions. Will you take them now?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So Ojasvi wants to know what is Malayalam for a breaking ship? A breaking ship.
Breaking is put is not the something like put in ship. Can't think of.
Maybe instead of a ship, if you can think of a cup or whatever.
Oh yeah. So yeah, breaking would be pottunna. Unna is another aspect, progressive or something like that.
Okay.
Can I just add?
Yeah.
So, Oju, the reason why Hima couldn't think of a translation for a breaking ship is because in Malayalam, the word pottuga actually translates somewhere on the lines of cracking. Right?
Yeah, something like
so
that.
That can't be used for ship, and that's why we were. But then, yeah, the point to remember is unna would be the form that it should end in. If
yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Anjali, would you want to ask your own question after this?
If I may have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Then what is that at the end of breaking even here?
Same, relativizer. But yeah, okay.
Because you said it's for perfective aspect.
So that is for adjectives and participles. I mean, adjectives basically. Adjectives can only have perfectives. Participles can have any other aspect, but that aspect has to be there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Hima.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering what. So when you're talking about pottiya kupi.
Yeah.
E over there is lost as a perfective morpheme, right?
Yeah.
So then, if you were to take another predicate like veena kupi, where like Arya says, veer is the root for fall, I guess.
Yeah.
So then, what would you gloss as a perfective?
Yeah. So if you look at A.R. Rajarajavarma's Malayalam, it's very descriptive sort of, it's kind of like a traditional grammar, but it's not actually. It is a very descriptive.
Very descriptive.
Yeah. So there he talks about the perfective or whatever. I think he calls it only as past tense, as the morpheme is the to.
Yeah.
And so for in the case of Veena, it will be Veera plus tu, which becomes Veenu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then the A, so Veena.
So then the perfective morpheme there would be?
It is, and so according to him, underlyingly it is the same tu, but it is a phonological rules or sandhi rules which makes it look different as Veera.
Right. Okay.
And Veera changes to Veena.
Right. Okay.
Aisha wants to know, the perfective in the Malayalam adjectival is interpreted, right?
Sorry. Perfective in the Malayalam adjectival is?
Interpreted, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I have never thought of it in that.
No, so can we just go back to that slide, Hima?
Which one, Aisha?
The one which was with the adjectival, the form problem slide.
Yeah.
Right. So, in the sense that, do we see? Could we possibly get a sense of? So, can you say the in an hour broken bottle? You know.
ഒരു മണിക്കൂറിൽ പൊട്ടിയ കുപ്പി. Yeah.
And that would still be the adjectival, or would it be the participle?
Participle.
So what's the? I couldn't get the. I mean, why we need a? Or why you think that this is just not a participle? I couldn't understand why you don't think this is just a participle with the perfective.
So in my thesis, I had shown that for uh, okay, adjectives are smaller participles. So there are certain predicates which cannot. So I think unaccusative, unnegative. I forget the exact this thing. So certain predicates are not available as adjectives, but they are available as participles. So there was a distinction that I made.
Yeah, no, I also don't recall it. But so, if one, so basically, what I'm saying is that, because you said that uh, earlier that you always, you can't get in the adjective in your analysis,
Yeah.
uh, the relativizer, whether it is there is nothing like a continuous, there's nothing like a progressive adjective. There's always only a perfective adjective.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you're looking at a very, I mean, so it's more structured than just a lexical head.
Yeah.
It has some aspectual projection in it to which you add a relativizer,
Yes.
right? And then there the relativizer is a nominal, is a n head, or the n head is separate. And
N head is separate. So for Malayalam, for Dravidian, the N head is shown by, I mean, lexicalized as the agreement morphology, and it is separate.
I mean, so what is striking, of course, about Malayalam is the fact that the agreement is just like the pronominal, right? It's like
Yeah.
pronominalytic.
Yeah.
So this is most probably the D. So I mean, you can. I'm saying that it's pronominal in character.
Yeah.
And what would happen with Magar then? I mean, why?
So yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is that the perfective is not interpreted, and that we can see that in 20 we've got the perfective being interpreted, and on that you add relativization and some nominal head, whether N or D.
Yeah.
But in Magar, how is, so you have nominalization very low. Aspectual morphology or with aspectual morphology, because it can get all these other interpretations. Sorry, I'm taking a lot of time, but it's very intriguing because there's so minimal structure here.
Yes.
So it's because you can interpret it in all these things. So where will it get this break, has broken? Will it be from some matrix aspectual specification that you will get this interpretation, or is it just ambiguous, really not specific?
Yeah. I think it would be ambiguous, and it is understood from the context from the discourse.
Or from the sentential aspect?
Yeah, sentence. I mean, what exactly do you mean by sentential aspect? Because
I mean, to have whatever the progressive, if it is future or in the sentence, or if it's present in the sentence, this
yeah,
there's the thing that breaks,
yeah,
or
yeah.
but not as has broken. Is it sentential tense and aspect that
Yes.
that determine what the range of interpretations you're getting?
Yes.
So this might be the purest small clause that you have.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think other people who want to ask you questions.
Yeah.
The next question comes from Shrikar,
Yeah.
who wants to know, there are two questions. So the first is, are there non-intersective adjectives in either Malayalam or Magar, like probable or alleged? I can't think of similar adjectives in Telugu or Kannada, but my vocab is pretty bad. So are there any non-intersective adjectives in either Malayalam or Magar, like probable or alleged?
Probable or alleged? Probable. I can't. I can't think of any right now, Shikar.
Okay. The second question is the nominal in quote unquote the one who is tall? Could you go to that slide? One who is tall, masculine one. Huh. Okay, maybe this one. Such that the agreement on the relative clause is indeed agreement and not a pronominal head.
Agreement and pronominal, I mean, we were just, Aisha just pointed this out, that agreement is this kind of pronominal head. I mean, I am not, I would call it a agreement, whereas other people have called it as pronominal, and I have not come to a decision as to or a particular this thing as whether it is agreement or pronominal, but it's the same. So there is no other. If that answers Rika's question.
Okay, so Yangchen has a similar question following this one, that the tu, which you gloss as neuter, is from athu or that, which is pronominal. Would you see it that way too?
Again, it's the same thing. So whether you want to call it as a pronominal head or an agreement, it's the same.
Okay. Our next question is from Madhu. Does Magar have agreement? If they don't, maybe can we say there is null nominalizer in Magar, but in Dravidian there is pronominal clitic?
Magar does not have agreement, that I know for sure. Null nominalizer maybe, but I mean, the relativizer is the nominalizer. So yeah, I mean, what you were trying to say as null nominalizer is what I was trying to say as so if you look at it in like a distributed morphology type of thing, where there is a nominal categorical head and which does not lexicalize as a separate morpheme in Magar. So yeah.
Okay, and the final comment from Madhu is that tu is the nominalizer too. So
yeah, I wouldn't say it is the nominalizer. It is again, it comes in this. It is just used as the default. So we tend to think of it as a nominalizer, but it's just the neuter agreement or pronominal, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, Anjali has a question. Follow up. If the E in Pottiya Kopi is perfective, what is E in Potti Kondirikunu? I'm sorry if I pronounce this absolutely
wrong. That's fine. No, Potti Kondirikunu. So again, I think it's the same perfective, but this Kondirikunu, Konda is actually another verb which is not very productively used in Dravidian now. It has been grammaticalized into whatever else. So kolla is the verb, and kondirikunu, the kondu is again the perfective of kolla. So these are two verbs. Irikunu again, irik is another verb, which so because of grammaticalization and they have become functional in nature, and so they are used together as aspectual or whatever else categories, but they are basically three different verbs. So E is also the perfective. Kondirikunu, kondu is also a perfective form of the verb koll, etc.
Okay. Gopal says the E in the first is a perfective marker. In the second, it is the conjunctive marker. They tend to be identical in Dravidian. I think that's a reply to Anjali.
Okay.
But yeah.
Conjunctive marker, I'm not very sure. But yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. Now, can I comment on it through audio? Yes, Madhu, please come in.
Yeah, could you hear me?
Yes, Madhu.
Yeah, it's just a follow-up thing from Anjali's, that E perfective. So I think in the Schiffman in his descriptive grammar, even in Tamil, so I think when we do the complex predicate, we say he has said it as adverbial participial, and it doesn't have the aspect interpretation over there.
Right.
Just frozen.
Right. So conjunctive participle type. Yeah.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Hema. Yeah.
If there are any more questions, please raise your hand. Click on the raise hand button. Everybody is saying you've given a great talk, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I don't see any more questions coming in. Anybody? Okay. Thank you so much, Shima. This was a wonderful talk, and it led to a lot of great discussion and debate points. Anupama has a raised hand. Anupama, please come in.
Anupama.
Anupama, just unmute your mic and just, yeah. Anupama, are you there? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, in Dravidian normalization, the examples you gave, is it like a common example from that links to all Dravidian language or specifically to Malayalam?
I gave a specific Malayalam example, but there are, I think, very similar forms in the other Dravidian languages also.
I asked you this means I am a Malayalam speaker,
Okay.
and I feel like I say these words like vannavan, vannaval,
Yeah.
vannadu, vannavar.
Yes. So this
Is it the same you have?
It's the same thing, but I have just broken the morphemes and shown. So, so again, what A.R. Rajarajavarma in his Kerala Panini shows is that the perfective morpheme is the th, and when it attaches to a verb, phonological processes, sandhi processes, insert n, a nasal. So for instance, in Tamil it becomes vanda. But then again in Malayalam there is one more phonological process where the nasal geminates and the ra is gone. So it becomes vandavan. So those are phonological processes. I just wanted to show the morphological process.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yangchen has a question. Yangchen?
Yeah.
Hi, Hima.
Yeah, hi.
So it's more sort of.
Your voice is very faint. Can you speak up?
Can you hear me now better?
A little louder.
Okay, so I was actually thinking of the thing that Anjali asked about Puttiya and Puttikondirikkunu, and what I had asked about whether an interpretation of the perfective.
Right.
Do you also have the same judgment, and other Malayalam speakers can also ponder upon this, that in Pottiya we have a judgment of perfective, but we don't have that in Puttikondirikkunu. The E, we don't, it's in Puttikondirikkunu, and we just gloss it that way.
Right. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
that's what people pointed out, that it's a conjunctive participle. So if it is a conjunctive participle, of course,
Yeah.
the perfective interpretation will not be available. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
So that seems to be it. Final call for questions. And otherwise,
just a comment. I don't have a question.
Yeah.
Hima, so when I was looking at the same, what are these linkers doing to the roots, and taking into account what Rajaraja Varma said, and then later works like Madhavan, when Madhavan shows how this E marker, because now that we see that it can be interpreted as a perfective or sometimes as a conjunctive participle.
Yeah.
It seems like this is perhaps not not a morpheme that directly translates to any of these grammatical features, but more like a linker or a stem extender, which is the way I and
Yeah.
elected. I mean, I could be wrong, of course.
Yeah.
But so do you think there's any scope in like pursuing that?
I don't know. I can't say at this moment. Maybe we can discuss more data and come to this thing on that consensus
Right.
on. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk later.
Yeah. Sure.
Thanks, Hema.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hema.
Thank you.
And the compliments are continuing to pour in. So well done.
Thank you.
And our next talk is tomorrow. It's by Sari Hamoud. Just give me 1 second. And we hope to see all of you there at 2 p.m. So thank you.